Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency Board meeting. It's Wednesday, 24th of July, 2024, 4 o'clock. Copy of the Nebraska open meeting rules are on the north wall of the boardroom. In attendance today, we have the mayor of Springfield, Robert Roseland, the mayor of Gretna, Mike Evans, the mayor of La Vista, Douglas Kindig, the public works director for the city of Bellevue, David Godigan, and the mayor of Papillion, David Black. I'm Don Kelly, Sarpy County Commissioner. Also have our administrator here, Dan Hoynes, our project engineer, Jeff Thompson, our legal counsel, Adam Charlson, and Lisa Harris, our secretary. If you would, silence your phones and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to the staff reports, do any of the agency board members have any comments or any questions? Okay, we'll get right into our staff report, starting with our administrator's report, Dan Hoynes.
Speaking through my eyeball here. So. While the map is making your way around, Mr. Chair, member mayors, I did provide you a written report. As always, if you have any questions, you feel free to give me a call. But I just wanted to touch base to give you this high-level analysis of the thing that's being, we're really spending a lot of time on right now, and that is our agency master plan. That's what you see this. This is linked to our website. This is the approved plan that the agency is looking at. Again, you're looking at the yellow line is phase 1A. That's the one we'll commission by the end of the year. We're finishing that up. But in the last 60 days in particular, I've been working with the administrators and a technical committee, primarily engineers, planners, to see if we need to, I say, define the next what for the agency. What should we be working on? It's a little bit complicated, and there's interconnecting parts. One of those is, as part of the growth management plan update that I mentioned last month, engaging MAPA to talk to us about population projections. That becomes our key input, really, where we start. And we have a meeting scheduled August 15th with all the administrators. I'm going to invite the tech committee and MAPA. We've just got a lot of ideas rolling around right now about, well, if you do this, I think I used the analogy, for every concept we come up with, there seems to be a Newton's law of physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reactions we're trying to accommodate. But the end game is to treat all the members fairly, to get sewer to them when they can and be able to pay for this thing. So a little bit of a moving target, but it's a little bit better after every discussion, every meeting, we make a little bit of progress. So that's really the primary thing I wanted to brief you on today. For my time ready here, I'll address other issues when the agenda items are called.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Dan? Okay, Jeff Thompson, project engineer update.
Chairman Kelly, agency member mayors, thank you. Jeff Thompson, project engineer for the agency. Get that pulled up, Jose. Just got a few pictures to run through with you here regarding construction. I actually completed the concrete pad at the tie-in structure location right outside of the driveway at the Harlan Lewis plant. So the driveway that you see across the street from our driveway with our manhole structures is the driveway into the wastewater treatment plant facility for the city of Omaha. The pavement extents aren't entirely complete because MUD is looking at boring another water line under the creek, and we felt like it was in our best interest to put that on them in the future, along with some fencing. But expect that will get done hopefully this fall. It is moving along. Most of the pipe work is in the ground. Like I said last time, the only section that's left is about a mile of forced main between the Mitchell Road lift station and 96th Street. What you're seeing here is the Triad Management property, which is at the intersection of 96th and Platteview Road here. That's be the northeast corner of that intersection. They've just completed the tie-in at that location, and they had the pipe already bored under the ground, and so they're starting to take off towards 99th Circle, which you can see the path of the pipe alignment where the crops are left unplanted all the way over to 99th Street, and then they'll go down 99th Street to Mitchell Road, and then across Mitchell Road to the lift station site, which is the lift station site at this location here. This is Mitchell Road. You can see that we've got the pavement pad and around the wet wells all poured. They've got some things formed up around the distribution manhole to pour all that. The electrical building's been set here. We're working all the underground electrical work right now, as well as the odor control pad and some of the pipe work associated with that. And then it's just a aerial view of the wet well pad, and then the lift station site in Springfield, which is the biggest of the three, deepest and most challenging because of the soil conditions there. But you can see the two wet well, or the wet well and the distribution manhole locations here, and there's just another view looking west. And then there's an aerial view of the whole lift station site, but you can see those two wet wells there. They do have the walls poured on the wet well. The first pour, they're planning on pouring the second pour of those walls this week, and then start forming the lid on that one. So on track for completion by the end of 2024 is planned, just short of any unforeseen conditions we might have in weather or material supply chains. But the generators will be the biggest lead item for us that we're still waiting on. We ordered those 10 months ago, so expecting those in September and October. I guess with that, I'll answer any questions you might have regarding the construction update.
Questions for Jeff? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, before we jump into the agenda here, I'm just going to let everybody know I'll be moving the executive session, item number 11, up after item number 9. So just giving you a heads up on that. But first, we'll go over the consent agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. Would any of the agency members like to see that moved to the regular agenda for discussion? If not, take a motion to approve as published.
Motion to approve, Papillion.
Second.
Motion by Papillion and a second by Gretna to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 6, nays none, motion carried.
Okay, on the regular agenda, the first item is number 5, Resolution 24, authorizing the payment of crop loss claim. Jeff Thompson, project engineer.
Chairman Kelly, agency member, mayors, thank you. Jeff Thompson, project engineer for the agency. This one's pretty straightforward and similar to a couple of other claims that we've had from previous property owners. This property owner is on the northwest corner of Highway 34 and Harlan Lewis Road. Construction of that creek crossing under the Big Papio took a little bit longer than expected because of the 408 emergency action plan, as well as some other approvals that were needed. That being said, the farmer wasn't able to get his crops in this year, and he'd asked for some reasonable compensation and provided us with some dollar values associated with that. I did cross-reference those with average rental rates across the state, as well as yield values for bushels of corn, what it would yield, and then the average cost based on last year's pricing. So with that, I guess I will answer any questions you might have.
Were those averages in line with his request?
Absolutely, yes. Actually, they were probably a little bit lower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I'd make motion.
Second.
Motion by Papillion, second by Springfield. Any further comments or questions? Please vote.
Yeas 6, nays none, motion carried.
Okay, item number 6 is Resolution 25, approving task order number 2 to the agreement for professional services with Carollo Engineers. Jeff.
Chairman Kelly, agency member, mayors, Jeff Thompson, project engineer for the agency. This particular item is really just an extension of Carollo services to extend through this next budget fiscal year. to help us continue to monitor our incoming expenses and revenues and adjusting our rate models over the course of the year, as well as attending some meetings with agency members to discuss financing and things of that nature moving forward. We did go out for bid with this contract originally, so Carrillo was competitive and the low bidder. Essentially, it was a qualified-based bid selection, but they were the low bidder for the rate study originally, and so we'd programmed that $50,000 in our budget for this coming budget year, so that is targeted and is available for this type of specific work. So I'd answer any questions you might have associated with this.
So when you say it goes, you went out for bid, do we put specific requirements in the?
We did. Yes, sir.
Okay, so moving forward in the future, I would ask that we put some specifics in there or some constraints in there on the cost of administrative services. I think this contract calls for $140 per hour.
Okay.
And I know a lot of administrative professionals, but I don't think any of them I know of make $140 an hour. Okay. So going to approve it today, but we got to try to rein that in a little bit, because I think that's a little egregious, really. When I think of administrative services, I think of the person that prepares all the administrative functions, and that's not engineering work.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by LaVista, second by Gretna. Any further comments? Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays, none, motion carried.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Item 7 is Resolution 26, approving the First Amendment to the contract with the Nebraska Department of Natural Resources, NDNR, and the Sarpy County and Cities Wastewater Agency. Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member mayors. This one's pretty straightforward. This is the original $10 million grant we got from the state of Nebraska to help offset costs. There were certain allowable costs in there. One of them was a generator. Jeff mentioned still on back order. The grant expires August 31st. This resolution simply extends that to the end of the year, December 31st, to allow us to take possession and invoice that generator.
Questions for Dan?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by LaVista, second by Papillion. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays, none, motion carried.
Okay, item number 8 is Resolution 27, granting a boundary change request under the agency's growth management plan and approving the member service agreement for connection of wastewater service between Sarpy County Cities Wastewater Agency and the City of Gretna. Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member mayors. I feel like I should talk a long time about this one, but I think we all have some awareness of it. But historically, a little over 2 years ago, the City of Gretna made a formal request to this body to amend the boundary to allow them to grow adjacent to their community. The original request in 2022 was for 1,100 plus or minus acres. That request was driven primarily by two factors. One, the development pressure that they're experiencing, Gretna. Two, their proximity to the infrastructure they currently have, and the development was effectively across the street. And we're three or 4 miles away and many years from getting agency trunk line out there. So we started this attempt, and it's taken many twists and turns over a couple of years. Really, the first portion you saw in December, where there was 108 plus or minus acres, McCune Kirsten's property. This board approved it, and what Gretna had agreed to in December was to collect the agency connection fees and remit 100% of those to the agency. As we continued our analysis of the second request in this area came in, the current one before you, it's I think just shy of 50 acres, 49.01. there was a lot of discussion about the rates. And so through the process, Gretna has agreed to not only collect and remit to the agency the connection fees, but charge the agency user rates and remit back to the agency our user rates minus what is the Omaha portion. Roughly, we charge, I think our average is $10.81 per 1,000 gallons. A little over $4, or roughly 40% of that is, passed through to Omaha. And so they've agreed to that in this agreement. There's a lot of other discussions we've tried to resolve that I hope we can get resolved in the near future, but this specific agreement adds to that the December agreement collection of the user rates minus the Omaha portion. So certainly willing and able to answer any questions the board may have, but would recommend approval of this.
Questions or comments for Dan? Motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. Okay, we have a motion by LaVista, second by Sarpy. Any comments or concerns?
Yeah, and just, we're all for this, we're really for economic development, and that's the whole point of this, is that's what drives this. And I think all we really want to consider, in the future is really some type of replacement on some of this work that we're doing kind of for the county and for the agency. I don't know what the number is. It's, I think, we talk about tax, property tax, it's too high. Well, part of it, what it would lower is create economic development, increase our valuations, which is what we're trying to do for the whole area. But it just feels like a burden on our taxpayers to do some of the work the county would do by, if they were there. So I don't know what the fair number is. I just think it's, like you said, it's really complicated, but I think when you really get down to it, if you just see what's fair, what makes sense, I think it's easy. So I just ask, we just take some time and, if Papillion is 200 yards from connecting and getting a great project and they can do the work, don't hold them up. Let them capture that. But at some point, go back and reimburse them for that work.
I would agree with Mayor Evans on a plan, because early on we know Papillion and Springfield pioneered Phase 1A with the pilot fees. That was the whole reason we needed money. So we gave up our pilot fees to jump start it on the pioneering. Bellevue's done a pioneering, and we didn't talk about replacement costs. And then when this one came up again, then we start the conversation about replacement costs. So just because some have pioneered, some have been silent, some are thinking about it, I think we just need to develop a policy. And I know it's going to take time because it is complicated, but that's why I just encourage, keep the conversation going, and at some point let's develop a policy around it so then everybody's working under it.
Appreciate that.
Perfect.
We hear you, Mayor.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I agree with Mayor Black. We're going to see more of this. The tyranny of financial ability for us to put a trunk line where it needs is years out. So we need to figure out a thing that's mutually beneficial to the agency and the members, because if we don't, then we're not going to see the development. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's germane to this topic, but I just spent the 2 hours before this meeting with a technical committee, a bunch of engineers and planners, Paula, planner / planning background administrator, spent a couple of hours going through this entire process, and we will continue to do that. Again, no GMP, but here's the context. If today you were voting and said, agency, staff, go do a design, permitting, early easement identification work, we're 12 to 18 months out. And so if you add another 2 or 3 years of construction, we're really about 4 years from more pipe in the ground right now. Now, we don't want to stop development. We're looking at these, interim measures, and this is an interim measure right here. Eventually, I don't think I mentioned it, temporary. The agreement clearly states that when the agency gets out, they hook to us. But that's 4 or 5 years out. So. I could talk longer, but I probably said too much.
No, but I do appreciate how you worked together, because I know there was some language in there about the reimbursement, but it wasn't necessarily equitable with Papillion, Springfield, and Bellevue done. So actually changing that and removing it, I think, allows us to move forward in a really good way, so then we think about policy from a longer term. So appreciate all the hard work that got us here.
It probably goes to the lawyers and the administrators more than that. They asked me, and I just shuffled decks and took time to work through it. But I appreciate that recognition that it's a start. It gets a little bit better. It's never easy. You just got 6 interests, and 7 if you count Omaha. But everybody, I've always felt very passionate about a collective regional system.
And we didn't think that this, Sarpy has grown so fast over the last 20 plus years. I don't think we could even envisioned how fast our future development was going to grow, because when we first voted for how we were going to put this together, you were 20 years out, you know, and we all know that what's happened, you know, in between. So the agency isn't going to be able to afford another $100+ million for a period of time. So we've got to figure a way out that the cities or the developers or somebody can do it for the long term if the agency needs that to make us fiscally sound in the out years. Then we've got to figure a way to get that back. So I'm in complete agreement with both of these mayors, and it's the fair thing to do, and I don't have a dog in this fight. And, it is what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the days where, you know, we used to have to go to Omaha and beg them. Just to
Omaha's
let
in the
us,
room,
yeah,
Mr.
that's
Chairman.
fine. But I mean, the reality is we got what we asked for, right?
Yes.
We went down to Lincoln, we said we want to form a regional sewer agency. Be careful what you ask for sometimes, you might get it, right? But, you know, herding cats amongst agency members is a lot more preferable than trying to ask somebody that has no long-term interest in our manifest destiny than we do. So I think it's a good thing, and we'll work through these issues because they're going to keep popping up. They're bound to.
So what I heard, Dan, is that it's Adam and Steve's responsibility to get this to the finish line now.
And Mr. Miller from Grattan and
A few others.
Yeah. You know, it's for us. You talk about, gosh, you look at that, and it's 5 years, and that's probably aggressive.
Yeah.
But in September, it was 7 years ago in September, a couple months, there was no such thing as a sewer agency. And so when you think about time goes fast and can we get this done, I'm very confident, passionate we can get it done. But you got to come to work every day, and it requires a lot of give and take, and we're still there.
So the one thing I want to put on the public record, and I'll keep putting it on until the governor hears it, is there is not another project in the state of Nebraska that has the return on investment than this sewer agency's project. $15.7 billion of economic impact to the state. And so we just got to keep reminding them of that, because that's where we're going to need the money to come from to help us finish this in a faster fashion. 25 years, we can't wait that long. We need something in the next 5. So.
No, and you know, the exciting thing is everything that you hope that could happen, we see it today.
Yeah.
I mean, all the mayors in county are seeing projects you never thought would come to Sarpy County. And they're starting to knock on the door. We're getting shots at it. It's all about executing this, and we have to do it right. But so we have the chance to win if we want to, but we have to work together to do it.
We're the real critical component this year. Yeah, decisions we make are going to hurt or help. It's not going to be in the middle. So,
So it's exciting.
So the partnership's important, obviously, and that includes Omaha. So we couldn't do it without them. So we'll work together and make sure we solve all these problems moving forward. Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays none, motion carries.
Okay, number 9 is Resolution 28, approving construction phase price proposal. Number 11 for the Unified Southern Sarpy Wastewater System. Jeff.
Chairman Kelly, agency member mayors, Jeff Thompson, project engineer for the agency. This construction phase proposal change is to include some flow meters at the tie-in locations for Springfield's system into the agency's system once their plant's decommissioned. We're currently working on an agreement with Springfield for that connection and sewer service to replace their plant. I expect that we'll come to terms with that here relatively shortly, but wanted to get a jump on shop drawing submittals and some of the other long lead time things in the background that normally take place in order to start a construction project like this. So we're not anticipating on spending any funding until the agreement with Springfield's in place, but want to get the process started with Hawkins and try to get some material things scheduled and figured out so that we're ahead of the game and can provide them service as soon as we're ready to. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, comments? Motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Granda, second by Papillion. Any further comments? Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays, none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going down to number 11, which is executive session. For the protection of the public interest, I move we go into executive session to discuss a legal matter. Can I get a second?
I'll second that, Doug.
Okay, motion by Sarpy, a second by LaVista to go into executive session. Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays, none, motion carries.
Okay, it is now 4:26. We're going to go into executive session where our discussion will be restricted to a legal matter. And just for housekeeping, the agency board is going to adjourn back here to a conference room, so anyone here can stay in place, and then we'll be back as quickly as we
4:46.
It is now 4:46. At 4:26, we went into executive session where our discussion was restricted to a legal matter. I need a motion to return to the regular session.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Papillion, second by Springfield. Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays, none, motion carried.
Okay, item number 10 is Resolution 29, denying an exception request under the agency's growth management plan in connection with the proposed development of certain land in the city of Springfield's extraterritorial jurisdiction. Adam Charlson, Agency Legal Counsel.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly, member mayors. We just ask that this board adopt the recommendation of staff and the resolution as written. Simply, in brief summary, as it's in the resolution, we proposed that it be the exception request be denied for a couple of reasons. The first one is, as stated in our growth management plan policies, the applicant has to agree to pay the agency connection fees. And the record for us here shows that that's not the case. And then if, however, the fee is agreed upon and paid, the applicant hasn't shown under our growth management plan, particularly section 5, subsection B, that the development, it does not satisfy either of the 4 criteria referenced in the application. Primarily, it's not subject to subdivision plat or rezoning application submitted on before August 19, 2019. The exception request has not shown, and Springfield has not taken a position on whether it advances an important city of Springfield comp plan objective. Further, it does not allow for the subdivision or division of property held within a family estate for estate planning purposes, and nor does it allow for or ask for the subdividing of a single lot to be transferred to immediate family of the applicant. So under those grounds, under our growth management plan, we are recommending that it be denied. But I'm happy to answer any questions of the board.
Okay,
or
questions
the
or
applicant.
comments for Mr. Charlson? Okay. The applicant's here, right? I'd like to afford you the opportunity to address the agency board.
Chairman Kelly and member mayors, thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak at this.
Could you just please state your name?
Excuse me, my
and
name is
address
Mark.
for the record?
My name is Marty Giff. I'm the owner of the property with respect to this request. I live at 106 Forest Drive in Bellevue, Nebraska. With response to the request, my opinion on this is that every property owner should have the right to use their property for the purpose for which it's legally allowed, subject to the zoning and future land use plan of the governmental entity that has the authority over it. And in the case of my property, that's the city of Springfield, and the zoning and future land use plan for this property is AR, which is for low-density residential development with a minimum lot size of 5 acres. The actions of this board are going to determine if I am allowed to reasonably use my property for the purpose for which it's zoned. Okay. I think you've been provided something in a packet. We had a lot of information we put together with regard to studying this over the last 10 months. But the gist of the matter is kind of summarized on a chart that you already have, but I want to give you a larger copy of the same.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I've provided you here is a summary of zonings across Sarpy County for the areas that are impacted by the sewer agency. And what I want to point out here, and I tried to in what we were submitted before, is that I have a property that contains per Springfield 19.7 acres. And as I told you a minute ago, the minimum lot size that's allowed within Springfield's zoning is 5 acres. So if you look on here, I can't plat a lot smaller than 5 acres. So therefore, there's no way that I can bypass the fees that are applicable on a per acre basis for the sewer agency, which in this case is $562,000, which is utterly ridiculous for a single family home. So what I want to show you here is that if you look in like the second column, Sarpy County, under Sarpy County's jurisdiction, you could see, well, there's a dotted red line that goes horizontal across the page, and that's up 20 acres down to 3.01 acres. Everything in the middle of that is the area within which the lot size would be, your fee per acre is applicable when it comes to sewers, and that's that. You can see at 3 acres it's almost 86,000. At 20 acres it's 570,000. But if you look under Sarpy County, you can actually, there are zoning categories that allow for a RE1, which would be something greater than 1 acre, and RE2, which is greater than 2 acres. So you could plat something that is under the 3.01 acres in size, and then get around the fee charge of $28,000 plus per acre that's applicable, and pay the per lot basis. And if you look all the way across to the right, you can see if you plat that lot in Sarpy County in the RE1, RE2, anything from 1 to 3 acres, you're only going to pay $5,700 for your sewer fee. You can do the same in Bellevue. You can see the next column. Bellevue has an RE zoning. RE will allow you to do 1 acre or larger. That means you can go up to from 1 to 3 acres. Your sewer connection fee would be $5,714. And not to be too redundant, but Papillion has the same thing. They have RE1 and residential estate. Gretna has REA and RE, which allows you to do one acre or larger. But Springfield, as I said, does not. You don't have that opportunity to plat something smaller, and thus you automatically move up to the AR zoning, which is the smallest lot size of Springfield, is 5 acres, and thus the fee of $28,000 plus per acre is applied. So what I'm saying is that Springfield is a different animal than every other agency or every other zoning within the county. You're not playing with the same cards here. We're not playing the same game in Springfield, because you can't plat something less than 3 acres. It's impossible. It's not allowed. Not legal. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions with regard to that? Okay.
You can't plat something less than 5 acres.
Excuse me?
You said 3 acres?
No, excuse me. You can't plat anything less than 5 acres in Springfield, correct. And if I could, I would, but I can't. Okay. So therefore, I'm requesting the exception request from the per acre fee to the per lot fee for a development to put 2 homes on roughly 20 acres. I've been provided and read the information on the recommendation to deny, and it brought up a lot of different questions. And I looked at the information that was provided with it, that was presumably relied upon to make the determination to deny. And I guess I have a number of questions that I hope this board can answer. I was looking at, first of all, there was a report that was presented by Jeff Thompson with regard to this issue. And in Jeff Thompson's, and I presume you've all read this, In his analysis, Jeff says that the agency trunk line system were established with a flow rate of approximately 1,400 gallons per day adjacent to my property. Well, 1,400 gallons per day. I looked online and I looked at what the normal expectation is for a home, a gallonage, and it's 240 gallons for a four-person home. At 1,400 gallons is what this line was, or the size of the line was designed for. 1,400 gallons divided by 240 gallons per home. That would be 5.88 homes on this particular lot. I continue to read what he says here, that an increased flow rate would utilize more of the existing system, which ultimately could require less density in other areas. If this line is designed for 1,400 gallons a day, and I'm looking at putting 280, I'm certainly not taxing the line. In fact, what I'm looking at doing is leaving a lot of excess capacity for other areas of the county or the UDZ to develop. So the language in here, the reasoning in here doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I've tried to get explanation from Jeff, and I'm not satisfied with what I've heard. But from an engineering perspective, if the line is adequately sized and oversized for the area of my property for five homes or more, and we're putting 2, I can't find an engineering reason to say that there's a problem with what we're doing here. So, and then he conclusion is to deny. There's nothing here that explains why to deny. All it explains is that we have more capacity than we need. So I guess my first question would be, how does the engineering how does my proposed development create an engineering issue? I then also looked at the analysis presented by Steve Jensen. I was confused on that as well. Mr. Jensen went into saying that if we were to put together a development that had over 20-acre lots or under 3-acre lots, that we could pay the per lot fee and not the per acre fee. It totally is missing the point. I can't plat a lot over 20 acres when I got 19.7, and I can't plat a lot that's under 3 acres because the city won't let me. My hands are tied. I can't do anything with this. And if I was to get any kind of just to put a home on my property and use it without an exception, it's going to cost me $562,000 for a sewer that I don't have. On page 2, second paragraph of Mr. Jensen's report, he goes on to say that since the applicant has requested not to follow the agency fee schedule, the exception request cannot be considered. That makes no sense to me at all. All the exception requests, or most of the exception requests that you guys have already heard and approved, most of those had to do with exactly that, not paying the per acre fee, but rather paying the per lot fee. So that argument doesn't hold any water from what I can understand. And then Mr. Jensen's analysis went on immediately after that to discuss not what I presented, not what was presented in this request, but rather an analysis of if it was just a single lot. And he went through the exemption request requirements, the item VB3, and he goes through item B, C, and D, same things that that Adam was talking about here a minute ago. And he said that, okay, for one lot, it doesn't meet the requirement as being an important comprehensive objective of the agency member. And C says it's not a family farm. D, it doesn't meet the requirements of splitting for estate purposes. And then he goes on to recommend to deny. Well, the only analysis I could see here that has anything to do with what my request is, the only thing that he said had to do with me not wanting to pay the fee. And that's exactly the whole reason of my request, because the fee is ridiculous and renders my property unusable in a reasonable manner for the purpose for which it's zoned. And I don't have any other options. With regard to my property not being a family farm, I can't get any direction, any definition on what is a family farm. I mean, my farm, to me, is a family farm. It's registered with the Farm Services Agency. It's a farm. It produces farm income. It's got a farm tenant, and it's registered. So what is a family farm? You know, I'd like an answer. What is it? I can't get it. With regard to splitting the property for estate purposes, my hope would be that I could split this property off and live next door to my another family member. That is my estate plan. I don't know how you define estate planning, but that's my definition of estate planning, and that's what I'm doing. So I feel that there are a lot of unknowns in the policy, the way they are written and defined, and I just am asking for questions and definition and true explanation as to why is this being denied. Finally, with regards to the resolution itself to deny. Gotta find that here. In the resolution itself, page 2, paragraph 3, third paragraph, it says the city of Springfield has not taken a position as to whether the proposed development would further an important Springfield comprehensive plan objective that might offset any detrimental impact of granting the exception. I'd like somebody to answer, what detrimental impact are we talking about? Nobody's defined what it even is. It's not flying capacity. It's not meeting zoning. It's not meeting the comp plan. It certainly has plenty of line capacity. It meets the zoning and it follows the comp plan. So where's the detrimental issues? Nobody in any recommendation reports gives me any identification of that. On the bottom of page 2 and going on to page 3, it says Springfield has not taken a position on this request. And it says, goes on to say, unless and until Springfield advises the agency on this point, the exception request cannot satisfy criteria as to whether the proposed development furthers important Springfield comp plan objectives. Well, my plan would be to split it into a 5 acre and leave the balance of it, roughly 15 acres, as a second lot. I'll do it any way Springfield will allow me to. I don't care. I'll split it into 6 and 13. I don't care. So it's not so much that it doesn't meet zoning. It certainly meets zoning. I'll do whatever I'll plat whatever they want to meet their zoning. And what I presented to you does meet zoning. It does meet the comprehensive plan, okay? The comprehensive plan is for low-density residential. That's what I want to do. I cannot, obviously, the only issue is with request to this exception request is the $562,000 fee, which is I don't have to tell any of you. That's ridiculous. None of you would pay that for a home and not have sewer, okay? It's real unclear to me why the sewer, first of all, it says that they can't move forward without a advice from, or opinion from the city of Springfield. I don't know what this board needs from Springfield. I mean, you're a board. You're here to listen to the facts. You're here to make your independent analysis of what you've heard. If Springfield was not to have an opinion on this, it doesn't mean they're not against it. It doesn't mean they're not for it. I mean, it doesn't say anything. I think that, the public has a right to have this board make an educated and responsible vote and answer on this issue. If they want to remain silent, then I think that's their objective. But I believe this board has the responsibility of responding. I sometimes wonder why this board and the city of Springfield hasn't required the city of Springfield to take a position on this. If the city of Springfield is against it, that's fine. Why? Okay, tell us why. And if not, then I guess you're for it. But no answer is no. I'm nowhere. I'm in limbo. So, and then finally, I guess it says at the bottom of the resolution, the end of this resolution, of which Chairman Kelly would sign, it says that this is not an unusual special circumstance. I agree that the fact that what I want to plat a 5 and a 15 acre piece of property on or lot, two lots on a 20 acre piece of property, that's not unusual. What's unusual is the $562,000 fee. And I showed you in that chart, everywhere else in the county I can do it, not in Springfield. If I was half a mile west or east, I could do it for $5,714. I'm where I'm at, so it's $562,000. Okay. So yeah, no, this is a special and unusual circumstance because of the fee. The development plan itself is nothing unusual. What is unusual is the fee. Okay. And then they go on. One last thing that says that the purpose of the agency and the fee schedule and everything else is it's to preserve land for future standard subdivision development. And I understand that. I get it. I know your purpose, and I'm a educated real estate professional, and I know what you're doing, and that's fine. But the thing is, this 20 acres is almost a bullseye between 17 existing acreages, all the way around it. It's right in the middle of it, okay? The zoning that's in place is probably going to stay there for a long, 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 long time because the neighbors that are around it are probably going to fight tooth and nail to say we want to have a dense, 6 homes to the acre development right in the middle of all these 17 acreages. That's not to say it won't change, but I think it's unreasonable to expect that it will in our lifetimes. Okay, so if that's unlikely to occur, where you're going to have a dense subdivision in the middle of the bullseye surrounded by 17 acreages, wouldn't it be wiser on the part of this board to collect the $11,000 in fees now, have two homes on 20 acres, leave the remaining 18 acres as farmland and move forward? Because if we don't do that, I can't do anything. The property can't be used for anything but a farm. You're not going to get any fees out of it. And like I said, the only time you'd ever get a fee out of it is when you change this to a dense development, and it won't be in our lifetimes. So I guess I will end with that. I would answer any questions that anybody might have. I hope I can get some answers to this. I hope you all think about this. If this was your property, 4 before you vote on this thing. We've been dealing with this for 10 months now. You know, the fact that Springfield doesn't have a position on it is not reason to not make an educated and professional determination as to whether my request is reasonable.
Thank you, Mr. Giff. You've asked us a bunch of questions, and we owe you answers to them. So I think out of respect to you and to our legal counsel, we're going to need some time to do that correctly and properly. So I think what we probably want to do here is table this request and give us time to get all your questions answered.
Okay.
I think we have them on the record, so I tried to write them.
I'd be
I
glad
tried
to
to write them
present that to
down,
you
but
again.
we've got the recording
Okay.
of your questions, so we'll get them answered, and then we'll bring this up again after when we have a chance to meet with you, or have our council meet with you, and then determine a path forward.
I'd be glad to meet with anybody whenever. Just let me know. Thank you.
With that, I would make a motion that we table this issue until a future meeting.
Do we need to put a date on it, or?
Yeah, a date, I mean, if you want to do 2 months, or August 28th is the next meeting.
The what?
August 28th is the next meeting, and then the one in September
I
would
think
be,
let's do September.
so that would
that's
be
okay.
the 25th.
Okay.
So I'll amend my motion to table until September 25.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by La Vista and a second by Gretna to table Resolution 29 until the September 25th meeting of the agency. Any comments or concerns? Please vote.
Lisa. Yes.
Oh, you can't vote, okay.
Yep.
Yea, 6, nays, none, motion carried.
Okay, our next meeting is August 28th. All the agenda items have been addressed as published. The Sarpy County and Cities Wastewater Agency Board is adjourned.
How long have they been working with you?